Okay.
Everyone, you all want to hear about our bangs.
Yeah, welcome to our bangs origin story. We both have bangs. It's new girl in here.
It really
I saw a tweet recently where they were like, it's so bold that they had two like main characters with just the blunt straight across bangs.
I mean, Jess's weren't blunt straight across bangs.
They were like
time.
on occasion, but they were mostly like to the side and
or they were like wispy.
Wispy, yeah.
Cece
she had a lot of different styles.
They were always blunt straight across, and they were flat too. Like I style mine more like Jess does, kind of like curved out.
Yeah, yours are more Jess. Mine are currently blinding me because they're so long.
They're Cece but long.
Yeah. I mean, when I have them freshly cut, they're like Cece's. And the actress's name is Hannah Simone. So look at that. Lots of parallels. I got my bangs in freshman year, I think, of college. Yeah. So I've had them. Well, I had them as a kid. And then there was a real unfortunate incident in 6th grade on picture day where I thought to get a haircut, and I got legit. They look like a mustache on my forehead. I have the picture somewhere. I can honestly, in my shame, I will link it. It looked like that picture. She gave me like a bowl like cut. I just wanted like my hair to my shoulders. She like curved it in, gave me a bob, and then gave me bangs, but like a little mustache, like an inch above my eyebrows. It's the worst picture. I sobbed when I got. It was so bad. It was.
Why didn't you do the like picture retake thing?
Because it didn't. I think at that point I was so dejected because like the hair hadn't really grown out because like picture retake day was like 2 or 3 weeks after like the first picture day. So I mean I could have retouched the bangs, but at that point I was in a real emotional slump. So I let those grow out. I didn't get a haircut for like 4 or 5 years because I was traumatized. Legit, I was so dramatic that I went home and I was like, Aphrodite, if you're real, fix
my
this.
God.
I was peak Percy Jackson phase 2. So that happened. So I didn't get a haircut. My hair was super long all through high school. And then college, I was like, I'll get bangs. And because my uncle had then started dating. By the time I got a hair. So my uncle started dating a hairdresser. Like,
okay, you didn't finish that. So you were like, well, you see, my uncle had started dating.
I was talking to you before, and then I was like, wait, I didn't explain. So like halfway through high school, my uncle started dating a hairdresser, and I finally could trust someone to cut my hair again. So I went back to her in freshman year of college, got the bangs, and then I already touched, I think, on this in some other episode. But like after the bangs, it was like every day. Someone was like, you look like Jess from New Girl. I had never seen it. I was like, okay, cool. It was just like every day. And I watched it. I was like, yeah, she's me. Pink wine, Taylor Swift drinking alone. Yeah, that's me. And then the pandemic hit and I had to cut my bangs myself. And what you don't realize is that like if you cut them straight across and then you like tip your head back, the back, like the hair is like longer than the front of the hair. Because the way you have to pull it, because like I have glasses, but like it's so hard to see what I'm cutting because like I have to get super close to the mirror. But then also my glasses get full of hair, but I can't have contacts because then they get full of hair. And I'm trying not to cut my eyelashes because that's like an irrational fear of mine. So then like the way I have to like pull my hair out and I'll like cut it and then like it goes back and then you have to like trim the back half of your hair because it's longer and it's a weird
I think this is a thing that you have to deal with that I don't because my bangs are pretty thin.
Yeah, mine are.
I don't have particularly thick hair, so I think you've got more layers to your bangs than I do.
See you with my hair. Yes, yeah, they're thick.
See, I've been trimming my bangs since my mom stopped trimming my bangs. So basically forever with the like brief interlude every once in a while in college I would grow them out and then I would get tired of it and I would either chop the long part of my hair off or I would give myself bangs. But I've always just done it myself. There's no
Yeah.
And it always alarms people if they meet me during a period when I don't have bangs Because normally, if you're like somebody who doesn't have bangs and you suddenly show up with bangs, they're like, "Are you okay? Are you good?" Especially if I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna like cut my bangs," and they're like, "You're gonna cut them," and I'm like, "No, this isn't a crisis thing. That's actually, if anything, a return to stasis for me.
It is.
Like, I just always have them. So it's actually weird that you met me when I didn't have them.
Yeah.
Everything is fine now.
That's very true.
I have had to reassure so many friends, like, in college. I was like, guys, it's really okay.
Yeah.
It's not a crisis.
This is not
My forehead's just really big.
God, it like, I don't have to pluck my eyebrows because you barely see them. It's lovely.
You'll still see mine.
Except for in the summer, you get, like, tan then not tan.
Oh, okay. That's not my issue, but that's because I don't tan. They get stuck to my forehead.
Well, that too. Oh my God, yeah. Or in the rain.
You gotta pull them back. There's summer with bangs isn't fun. Unless you're me, in which case you sit in the air conditioning all day every day, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, like, I put sunblock on and stuff. Like, I don't, like, aggressively, like, actively tan. But, like, if I'm on the lake, I have to, like, pin them back, or else my forehead will be, like, a shade lighter. Same thing with, like, my glasses. I'll wear my contacts then, because I'll get that good old bridge tan line. That's not fun. But
this, again, is well, I guess I used to get sunglasses tans back in the day in high school when we would do mine was marching band, so we were different. But we were out in the sun like all day every day for like a month in the summer, and then before and after school. So we were getting some sun, and we got some weird tan lines.
The marching band kids, they had wild tan lines.
Listen, there's a picture of me from, like, my senior year when I was a drum major. We had a pool party at the end of the summer.
You were a drum major?
Yeah. Have we not talked about this?
A drum? Like, the things, like the bang bang drums?
No. The drum major, well, I was one of 3, but...
a major? I thought you meant, like, an English major.
Oh.
I was like,
no.
You were majoring in drums. I was like, wow, you don't present like a drum major? You're not, like, tapping things?
I played the flute.
Yeah, you're a flautist.
And the drum major, if you don't know, is the person who stands at the front and conducts.
That's so different.
We stood on... It's because... well, I don't know about the major part, actually, but they're drum majors because the drum line has to watch us really carefully because the drums are the ones who are setting the beat, so they have to follow the drum majors. Well, everybody has to follow the drum majors, but specifically the drums. Anyway, I was a drum major my senior year, and there's a picture of me at the pool party with the other drum majors, and you can kind of see it on one of the other girls because she's white, but my best friend was also a drum major, and she's black, so she doesn't tan. So really, it's just me that you can see it on, but I'm wearing a swimsuit, and from, like, the part, like, the part where the swimsuit ends out your hip down to about where shorts would hit is so pasty white, because I am so pasty white. And then my legs are a healthy brown, until you hit my ankle where my socks would hit with my tennis shoes. And then my feet, because I was wearing sandals in that picture, are also pasty white. And you can kind of see, my arms aren't as bad because a lot of times I'd be wearing tank tops. So that's just, like, a fairly normal tank top tan line. But, like the guys would get, like, farmer's tans. It was
like awesome. A Neapolitan sundae.
Okay, so you'll include your mustache bangs, I'll include my Neapolitan tan lines. The show notes are gonna be wild today.
Oh my God. In softball, you'd have, like, the longer shorts and then the knee-high socks, so there was, like, the one strip of your knee that gets tan. So that was a trying time. But I was in softball, I suppose, like, up through 10th grade, I think. Maybe not. I don't know. And then I was a manager because I realized I don't like playing sports, but I like managing them. Yeah. I actively told coaches, I was like, please, take me out. I would have taken injury. Like, I would have been like, yay, I can be injured and I can be on the sidelines looking like a brave warrior.
We
And I
are
won't have to
not
play.
Roy Kent.
No.
And that's okay. Not all of us can be Roy Kent.
Can't.
Some of us have to be Keeley, but with way
Ted
less
Lasso tomorrow.
business about which to be excited. I can't give any spoilers for Ted Lasso because, you know, people may not have seen it, but for the record, I'm mad.
Same.
And I know we're on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
The audacity.
I didn't have a great feeling because the way it ended, but then there's like been stuff in like previews that I've seen, and I'm like, I have hope, because that would just be incredibly stupid for them to do that for the entire season.
No, I have to assume they're gonna bring it back.
Yeah,
and it's gonna be fine.
Yeah,
but we didn't have to do that.
No, I was real pissed. But then I did get to hear Jamie say "poupée," so
that was really good.
It was great.
Why does that accent sound like that?
I don't know, but Jamie, I think, just has to be my favorite arc. He's just I just love him so much.
He was really
It did something to me emotionally. I can't.
Emotionally. I quite literally do think of him every time I listen to Anti-Hero. Yeah. Sexy little baby. Every time.
I'll just forever be in love with Rebecca saying, "Oh, Heather," you sneaky salty bitch, when he oversells the biscuits. And then she's like, "Oh, Heather." I love that scene. It's so funny. Or when Leslie makes a delayed joke and Ted runs back into the room, he's like, "Yes."
Okay, well, that's an incredible scene. Do you call Higgins Leslie?
I forgot what his last name is, but I remember Feminine Junior. That's all.
I do not remember. I remember that bit, but like I cannot think of him as Leslie.
Whenever I think of him, I just always hear that Feminine Junior. Okay. Oh,
no, see, personally, my favorite bit is, and probably always will be, because it's going to be really hard to top it, Jamie Tart is a Muppet, and I hope he dies of the incurable condition of being a little bitch. Jamie Tart is a Muppet is the funniest line possibly in the entire show.
Karma is a cat, and Jamie Tart is a Muppet.
And Jamie Tart is a Muppet, and I hope he dies of the incurable condition of being a little bitch.
I love Roy.
Okay, we've talked way too long. We've bantered way too long. Welcome to Romance Your TBR. It's nothing but banter.
Thank you. I don't know why I thanked you. Well, thank you for being here.
Banter with an E, as opposed to banter.
Banter with just an R.
Right.
Yeah. We don't need any more dating apps.
We're good. Pop that E in there. That's the banter.
Pop that E. Just pop an E on Romance or TBR.
I don't even know.
Cool. Yeah.
Anyway, you're in for a spicy episode today.
Yeah. The first one where we really disagree.
Because this happens occasionally.
But I feel like the first, like, Lisa Kleypas, like, of this,
that's true.
This series read.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not, like, passionate. I'm not, like, passionately against it. So, like,
passionately for it.
That's intriguing to me, because I don't get it.
Yeah, my take is that I think this is my favorite of the Hathaways.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh.
And you know what's funny is when I finish it and I put my little 5-star rating up on my reading tracker, Olivia,
so
Random
confused.
Olive, our lovely friend who is offering the newsletter services, sign up for our newsletter, by the way, she DM'd me and responded to the story and told me that she's been, like, reading them, or, like, listening to the episodes in real time, and she also has been reading the Hathaways about the same time.
That. Yeah.
So she read it a little bit before us, and she was like, I was waiting for this episode because I thought it was going to be your favorite. And I was like, how did you know?
I don't know how she knew.
Specifically. I was like, how did you know that?
How she knew.
And funnily, it was before you read it, and I was like, I don't think it's going to be Hannah's favorite, but it is mine.
It's my least favorite.
See, that is wild.
I like Sunrise so much better than this one. I technically rounded them both down to 3, but, like, I would consider rounding up Sunrise to 4.
Oh no, the more I think about Sunrise, the less I like it.
The more I think about her shoving that man in a wardrobe and lighting him on fire. Sure. I just have to give it to them. This one, like, I I'm not big into epistolary, I guess, and
Oh.
I felt like her animals weren't in it enough. I wanted more animal content.
See, I think
Albert
it was less
cute.
about the animals than it was about the things that she has learned from the animals.
I know, but I wanted more chubby hedgehogs. He had one cute interaction. I mean, there were things I liked, and again, like, it's still at least a Kleypas novel.
The little interaction, though, where he's, like, out wandering
in the hallway,
and finds Medusa and just, like, scoops her up because she's just out on a little walk, and he's like, you shouldn't be out here, and just puts her back.
Yeah.
So delightful.
That was really cute.
You're so real for that.
I had to make sure
going out into the hallway and there's a little hedgehog just
a Plump. I just love how they always call her Plump. I just
Plump.
Get the best visual.
Yeah.
It's just a cuddly little plump hedgehog.
She just waddles down the hall. And he goes, "Oop," and he scoop you up.
Yeah.
He's so real for that.
He was.
The dog, Albert,
Albert was adorable. He was the star of the book for me.
I also did quite literally eat up the parallels of, like, Beatrice helping the dog and then being like, my guy. I could help you too. Like,
my God.
Christopher. I have a soft spot for, where was I going with that? Oh, veteran, or, like, war.
See, that's one of my least favorite.
Oh, I think it's because I come from a military family, so when I see it handled well, which is sometimes not the case, but I think it was handled really well here, especially with the guy who comes back at the end. I was so impressed with how how she handled that. Because I think a lesser writer would just have him be, like, vengeance-driven and mad, for lack of a better word, and just, like, we have to deal with that. But instead she was like, actually, you're not well. Let's help you. And I was like, Lisa, a plot twist.
By the time I got to that point, I had just wanted to be done with the book. So I was like, oh, that's cute. Like, the last page I really liked. Because I was like, it's over. But also, it was a cute last page.
The yearning.
I didn't sense any of that. Like, it just, everything happened off page. It felt like they were in love so quick. But nothing from their letters. I know, but I didn't, like...
But that was them falling in love.
I know. But I didn't. But it was, like, brief and intellectually. None of my family can do that. I don't know how to do that accent.
Intellectually?
Yeah, it's so... I don't know. You do better than I do. I wrote down things that I liked, because I was like, I tried... Because, again, I wasn't, like, aggressively, like, angry with it. I was just bored. Which is just...
so caught up in the feelings.
I'm so fascinated by that. I truly am. Like, this actually blows my mind. I don't...
Listen, we're different people, and that's
I know. But, like, I can't, like... I'm looking at this book, like, it's on a little stand right next to me, and I'm like, what is in you that she loves? I just don't get it.
I mean, maybe it has something to do... Like, I was able to listen to the audiobook, and, maybe, I listen to audiobooks sped up, so maybe it just felt, like, quicker to me, because it was literally faster.
Yeah, well, I feel like I read it pretty fast. Like, I think I flew through at least the first half pretty quickly. And then I was just kind of like, it's cute, but yeah, I was sad because I was looking forward to it, but it also did the thing where I didn't want it to do, which is for a while, like, pretended that Prudence was the one, and the pacing of it was off for me because he kissed her twice, like, before Beatrix, and it was also, like, page 140 where he was still kissing her. And I just don't like that.
I only remember the first one, but I have to assume the second one, he already knew he wasn't gonna marry her.
Well, so the second one happened when he was declining her. He was, like, saying no, and then he realized that she wasn't the one who wrote the letters, and then he was like, words don't matter, I'm gonna marry you, and then made out with her.
I don't remember the make out. I remember that conversation because he was
maybe ours were changed. Maybe she edited
I believe you. I'm not saying you made that.
No, but it could she could have edited.
I guess that's true.
But yeah, no, he because I was really impressed with him. I was like, yay, he's turning her down. I love this.
I mean,
And
he
then
was turning her down.
Yeah, and then he immediately after he realized, and he was like, well, shit, I've been had. He was pissed, and so then he is like, fine, I'll offer for you. I'll go talk to your mom. And I don't think like there was like hints after that they were betrothed, but she honestly it wasn't a huge.
No, they were never actually betrothed.
It was like
yeah,
rumors.
Sure.
There was like whispers about town,
you, but he never had any intention of doing that by that point. He was just being sneaky.
Yeah, I mean, he like kissed her and like he made her like melt against him, and it was just too much at that point. It was like page 140 because I thought I was happy, and then he was like, I'm too angry. And then then he went and found Beatrix and was like, were you the writer? And all that.
That was hot.
And I did enjoy that moment. And it gave us the great phrase troubled and aroused. I think that really encapsulated his feelings regarding her. So.
He was so mad, and it was so sexy of him. He was so angry. Mm-hmm. And Beatrix was like, listen, that's my bad. My favorite. I didn't mean to. And he was like, the audacity, I'm going to make out with you right now.
My favorite was he was like, I will like take you right here. And in her head, she was like, oh, that'd be terrible. And then there was like a way how Kleypas like framed it. And she was like, so then she had Beatrix like speak out, no, don't. Just like I pictured her being like, no, that's the worst possible outcome. I laughed at that.
Take me right here in the stables.
I laughed at that one.
Beatrix
I was like,
so
you're big relatable for oh no, as she's like egging him on.
You know what? As she should.
Mm-hmm.
I love goading man. Goading man. Goading men.
Bah.
You know what also helped? I had just watched season 2 of Shadow and Bone, and the actor that plays Nikolai, who is already one of my favorite characters. Here's the thing, I wasn't like super into that actor when I first saw him cast, but the character of Nikolai is really hot.
Does it? Yeah.
So I was like, you got me. And he's like dressed in a military unit because he's a prince. So he's like wearing the military uniform a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. So having just watched that, he was in my brain, and I have trouble if I like watch a show, those characters are going to be who I picture regardless of what I read, which is a little bit annoying sometimes. But in this case, Christopher was already like a tall, handsome, blonde man who sometimes was wearing an army uniform. So I was like, I'm going to lean into this mental image I've got going with this very handsome man. So already there was like a hot man in my head being Christopher. And boy, did
a hot man in your head.
Sometimes you got a hot man in your head, you know?
I do be feeling like that sometimes.
I will say, I tried to take notes specifically because sometimes when I go to make our, like, fill out the bingo boards, of, like, which things were checked off, sometimes I'll have forgotten by the time I make it. So I tried to write down every time something on the bingo board came up. And then I was like, oh, I should take notes. I didn't take notes. What I wrote down was 1, Beatrix, she who brings hedgehogs to picnics, because I think that's the funniest, like, epigraph or whatever of anyone ever. I would like to be known as Caroline, she who brings hedgehogs to picnics. That's my dream. And the only other thing I wrote down is something that I think you will appreciate, which is his mom wandering around throwing out complaints like a flower girl tossing petals and then laying in a dark room because of her vapors is big relatable.
Yeah.
Like, his mom is the worst, but she literally compared her to throwing out complaints like a flower girl tossing out petals. And I was like, nothing is relatable to me as walking in, complaining a bunch, and then being like, I have to go lay in a dark room. The vapors.
The vapors got me. The vapors. I claim the vapors too much for the 21st century.
I think they're real. I think we need to address the vapors. Because sometimes you're just feeling them.
We'd like to address the vapors in the room. We're just feeling them.
Not vapors like people who vape, but the vapors with an O.
Yes.
They get me sometimes.
Oh no, the vapors are coming! The vapors are coming! That's what I imagine Paul Revere
They
shouted.
be getting me. I don't know. Sometimes you just don't feel good, and you're like, well,
Me at
I
work
have to go lay
yesterday.
down.
I was so put upon. Yeah, I feel that. I think another one you could add to the bingo board. I don't think you have this one on there. But it's happened twice now in recent books where the heroine spends a lot of time with animals, especially horses. And so she assumes that mating happens from behind and
Classic. Big
gets on
Outlander
her
energy.
gets on her stomach and is like, "Take me. Ride, cowboy."
She's so real for that.
And he was like, "No."
Actually, what he was like was, I am into that very passionately. I care very passionately. However, maybe not for this first time.
It was it also happened in Never Seduce a Duke by Vivian Lorette. That was a great scene. She like bent over the couch and it was like, "I'm presenting my body to you," and he was like, spend a lot of time with the horses, don't you? So that's a bingo bard. Bingo board moment.
A bingo bard moment. I don't read or watch Outlander, but I've seen clips of it, and have you seen like their original or like their first sex
No, but I've heard that happens.
Yeah, he's a virgin hero.
Yeah. So
he like whips her around and goes to, and she's like, "Whoa, hold on.
Cowboy, take me away."
She said, "Hang on just a second. What are we doing?" And he was like, "Yeah, I've seen animals do it." I don't think that's a quote, but like that's basically his logic.
No,
and she's like,
yeah, no. I've seen animals do it. Quote from Outlander. Direct.
Jamie, whatever his name is, I don't know.
Not a clue.
I don't know, but I do love that trope.
Or the
I've studied mating habits.
Mating habits in the afternoon.
The mating habits of squirrels, that whole conversation. He's dying, and she's like, "Why are you laughing at me?
Squirrels!
You should not be laughing at the intercourse of squirrels.
They're respectable squirrels."
I love Beatrix specifically as like a quote-unquote quirky heroine. Because there's so much depth to her. Like, she's not just a surface, like, she's not just like, "I love animals, hee hee." Like, she's so fully, like, well-rounded and fleshed out.
She says, "I love animals, hee hee," but in a very refined British accent. In a very refined British voiceover.
Yes.
I can't do it. I won't. I'm not gonna attempt that.
I won't either, because it won't be good. No. But yes, just imagine.
"I love animals, hee hee."
That. I just think Beatrice is so delightful and so insightful, and she keeps pulling out her little, like, "Oh, well, he's a lion, and she's a ferret." I kept waiting for someone to be a hedgehog, because I'm a hedgehog, and I believe that. I thought someone was.
I thought Wynn was, because wasn't she, like, prickly? But was she a cat or something?
Soft in general. I thought she was...
Oh, you're right. She wasn't prickly. I thought someone was.
Is Amelia a hedgehog? Amelia was kind of prickly.
That could be a good contender. I thought there was someone. So Amelia, that would make sense.
I kept trying to think because I felt like
that was like back in book
one.
one.
Remember. Someone write in.
Please.
Be like, "You dumb bitches." It was this one.
It's us, the dumb bitches.
I remember back when the like what was that called? That like Harry Potter, which like fuck J.K. Rowling. But like pre all of that.
Yeah.
You know, like online, what was it called? Like Harry Potter website where you
can do
tests and
the Potter World, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, they had like a Patronus test, which was based on absolutely nothing. They just assigned you a random animal, but I got hedgehog, and I was like, "Oh, that's so funny," because like you know, my mom loves hedgehogs or whatever. But I was like, I don't think that's accurate. And my best friend at the time was like, "You are such a fucking hedgehog," and I was like, "What does that mean?" I'm told that I'm prickly on the outside, but soft on the inside. I have been informed. And I was like, you know what? That's valid. You made some points. My internet persona perhaps doesn't do it justice.
Wow.
But I do be prickly upon first meeting.
You're such a fucking hedgehog. God.
I don't think that was a direct quote either, but it was the energy.
Wow.
It was an accurate paraphrase. And I carried that with me. So...
the emotional baggage of...
To be fair, if Amelia is the hedgehog, that would track, because of the Hathaways. I do identify with Amelia.
I feel like she was.
It sounds right to me. I don't know what other animal she would be.
I think you're right. I don't think it could really be anything else.
Interestingly, she changed in Married by Morning. They mentioned that they're both ferrets, Leo and Cat.
Mm-hmm.
And so they, like, fight or whatever, but in this one they said something different. I think, like, Leo is...
Was one a cat?
That I don't know.
Someone was a swan.
No. I think Wynn was a rabbit and Kev was a
rabbit, yeah.
Cat or something.
Yeah, you're right.
Because the rabbit has to stand up to the cat. But then she said, like, oh, they're both ferrets, so that's why they have to, like, fight while they court or whatever. But then in Love in the Afternoon, she says Leo is something different. And I can't remember what.
I remember, like, reading that, but yeah, I don't remember.
I would have to go back and, like, search the text or something.
Oh, God.
What's your Kleypas persona?
I want her to do one for me, because I don't know. Yeah, I don't... All I could just keep thinking was that I'm the meat and potatoes. That's all I could think about. You were like, I'm a hedgehog, and I'm the meat and potatoes. For those who don't know, on the wonderful streets of Minneapolis, I was by a cat caller called the meat and potatoes. Damn, girl, you're the meat and potatoes. And I was like,
you're not just a snack, Hannah. You're the whole meal.
The whole meal. And then the best part is that Perkins, a diner,
a beloved
diner, like chain in the Midwest, has a meat and potato special.
It's not just in the Midwest.
It's not everywhere. So wherever it is. True.
But I used to go to one in Virginia.
Oh, cool.
And then there was one by Disney World that we used to go to.
That's good, because when I was in Portland, one of our Uber drivers had no clue what we were talking about when we were talking about Perkins.
That's
like,
offensive.
What? I know. I was like, huh.
Well, the Perkins in Virginia burned down before we moved, and it was, like, actually devastating. And then there's none anywhere in our vicinity now, which is personally offensive to me. So I haven't eaten at a Perkins in a long time, but I sure do remember those smiley face chocolate chip pancakes.
Yep. With all the sprinkles and the whipped cream.
Delicious.
I love their honey mustard.
We
also have a Baker Square.
I appreciate honey mustard the last time I ate there. So
what happened with honey mustard?
I just wasn't old enough to appreciate it the last time I ate there.
Theirs is really good.
I mean, it's honey mustard. So
I love honey mustard and ranch.
It's such a good condiment, but it's like not one that people offer all the time.
No, exactly.
If you're listening and you're considering opening a restaurant, please include honey mustard in the options.
Yes. Yes, please. And also the fancy, obviously, restaurant ranch, because you can't get that at the store. Ken's honey mustard that you can buy at the store is the best restaurant dupe that I've found. So
noted.
I have honey mustard dupes.
I made a honey mustard apple vinaigrette for an apple salad.
Ooh.
Delicious. It's literally just you mix up literally honey and mustard and apple cider vinegar.
I love condiments. Practice safe.
Relevant to the
practice safe salading. I don't know.
Safe dipping.
Safe dipping. Yes.
Always use a condiment.
be really dry without it.
This is like the dumbest bit that we've done in a while.
Well, I think I've made it. I don't think this is my first time saying it. I'm pretty sure I've said it before.
That tracks.
Yeah, it does.
What was I just reading? I just read a historical where they used a French letter and they had to tie it.
Oh yeah, because because you hadn't encountered that a lot.
But I mean, I like literally just read one, and there was a whole bit where it like kept falling off, and
yeah,
what was that? I know not. At any rate, it wasn't Love in the Afternoon. Which you know what? Speaking of after they hooked up in Love in the Afternoon, I respected so much that this man was like, well, no, I can't marry you because like I'm mentally not okay, right? Like I'm worried about harming you. So probably we shouldn't get married. And Beatrix was like, no. And then proceeded to take him to talk to her brothers.
Yeah.
And Cam and Leo were like, so you want to marry Beatrix? And he was like, no. But she's probably going to make me, so.
Yep.
They were like, damn, relatable.
I also wrote, I do love when either it's, you know, Harry Rutledge or any hero who just, you know, knows probably that he's not great for the heroine. He just takes her anyway. He's like, I'm gonna do it. There was like a scene in here where I like made the note. I don't know what the actual quote was. He was like, I'm not worthy, but damn straight I'm gonna take her. Like, she's mine. She's stuck with me.
After he tried to like, hey, this probably isn't a good idea, and Beatrix was like, well, that's too bad for you.
Yeah.
Because you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna get married. I was like, oh no, how long are we gonna drag out the like, I can't marry you, I'm not good for you? We're not going to drag it out. We're gonna go talk to Cam and Leo and drink together.
It was an interesting.
Just decided.
I think my main thing about the book was that it was just a very weird structure, because then like they were married, but then it was the sleeping together that was the issue, and then it came back with the war veteran. Which I was wondering
what wild third act we were gonna. Because you know, it has to be an external third act, and I was like, what could it possibly be? Somebody coming back from the dead? Didn't see that coming.
It's very Lisa, though.
Yes, it was.
Kudos to her.
And then we turned it around, and he got better within a few years.
Yes. Yeah,
wow.
and then I also wrote classic Paul the wine guy moment. Have you seen Friends? In the pilot episode of Friends, I think it's the pilot, Monica works at a restaurant and the sommelier is named Paul, nicknamed Paul the wine guy, and his whole bit is that he can't get hard, so he goes around to every woman in the restaurant and is like, can you cure me? Can you get me hard? And that's what with Audrey, that's what happened at the end. Whatever his name was.
Yeah.
Something with an R, I think. He told her that he was impotent because she was like scared of his virility, and then he's like, I'll let her nurse me back to health.
Well, because she thought that she was infertile. And so she didn't want to like get involved with someone who would expect kids. So he was like, no, I just told her old war injury. And then he was like, are you? And he's like, oh, no.
I'll let her cure me soon. I thought that was a fun bit, and I liked how
the magic pussy we deserve. He was never actually broken.
I was just happy that she got her HEA, because it was sad to see his brother die. I was like, oh.
Yeah, rip.
I was like, John, you left me here all alone. I'm sad. And he had to come back. Ugh. Poor guy. And then the mother. Yeah, so I was happy to see Audrey have her secondary romance in this one. That was fun.
I also do really respect Audrey knowing what was going on the entire time and just being petty about it.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to marry whoever wrote this letter. And she was like, Tell me more about how you're not
But then-
attracted to Beatrix Hathaway.
Yes, I loved that scene. I also noted that when she was like, oh yeah, she's kind of plain. He's like, no, she's actually like quite beautiful. And she's like, yeah, but she's this. And he's like, no, actually, she's the loveliest person I've ever seen. And she's like, yeah, but she's kind of whatever, annoying. He's like, no, I could listen to her talk for ages. Just like
The way I would smack my brother-in-law upside the head.
And he's like, but also like I can't stand her. That was a fun time. That was like, the Troubled and Aroused.
However,
yeah,
you are not allowed to say anything. Only I can say things. Honestly, relatable. Me about anyone that I care about. I'm like, no, I'm gonna talk shit about them all day long, but don't you say anything. King.
Yeah, I don't have much else. I will say the fact that they want an heir and a spare, and then they always send the spare off to just like get killed in war is just wild to me. And they don't. I'm like, you have a spare for a reason, and then you just don't fucking care about the spare, and then you send him off to get killed or go to the church, and then you don't train him how to do this job, and then lo and behold, you need him. I find it so wild that you would have one, and then you would just be like, okay, that's fine. Bye.
Well, aren't second sons, you know how they have the different, like, the second son does this, and the third son does this, and
yeah, because he's the second. Most second sons either go to the church or the military, like, by a commission.
Right. So I feel like probably they just never expected there to be
I know, but I'm like, you have the second son as a backup, as bad as it sounds.
Yeah, but remember when he joined the military, he just, like, rode around looking hot. That was his whole thing, and he was really good at it. And then they got into a war, and he was like, I guess I should go to war.
Riding around and looking hot in the afternoon.
How many different?
They're just gonna keep coming.
Oh.
I just find it wild.
I'm gonna go reread the scene where he gets pissed at her in the stables.
I mean, personally, I love it for you that you love this book. I just find that so incredibly wild. Like, I just can't. I'm like a hero insulting the heroine. He doesn't know she's listening. Like, I just couldn't imagine this book would incite any passion. And then, obviously, the heroine would prove him wrong. But
I thought you were referring to the part where he insults her not knowing that she's listening.
I mean, yeah. I love that trope. I do love when that happens.
Which was hilarious, by the way. That makes sense. She belongs in the stables. Devastating.
He's like, I don't think I said that, but, like, it could be something I'd say.
He's like, that does sound right. I have no memory of it, but that does sound like a thing that I would say.
He's like, well, also, you like horses. Not... How wrong was I?
He's so real for that.
The step back is hot, though. I feel like that guy is really hot.
I don't remember.
They didn't make him blonde, which I appreciated because his hair, like, darkened.
Oh.
I think, like, after the war. I'm not into blondies, really.
I like a blonde man.
A blonde duke named Sebastian?
I do love blonde dukes named Sebastian. I just read another one, I'm pretty sure, and now I can't remember.
Ooh, gotta add it to your list.
Or maybe he was, like, gonna become a duke. I don't know. There was also, I just read Nisha Sharma's next book, and there's a bit where she is talking to, like, literally, she's, like, an event planner. So she just, like, has a conversation with the guy who, like, owns the space, or, like, the manager of the space or whatever, like, a 30-second conversation. And he kind of, like, lightly touches her on the arm. But the whole bit is that, like, all the aunties are there. So within, like, 30 seconds of that conversation, she gets a call from the hero because all the aunties sent him pictures of this guy with his hand on her arm. And he's, like, kind of jealous about it. I mean, he, like, gets over it. He's not, like, toxic about it. And he believes her when she's like, oh, it was nothing. And he's like, oh, okay. But she's also like, you were jealous. But so he's like, who is that? Like, who's that guy? Whatever. And she's like, Sebastian? And he's like, damn it, even his name is hot.
Yep.
I was like, Bunty and I are the same. Because you could take a mediocre man, and if he was like, I'm Sebastian, I'd be like, oh, are you?
Or he's a little crab.
Or he's I will say this. I'm excited for the live action Little Mermaid. Except that I hate the ocean, and that stresses me out a little bit because the thought of like being immersed in the sea is stressful to me. But I watched the trailer and I was like, wow, this looks really beautiful. I'm loving it, except for live action Sebastian. Because he's literally a little crab. But he's talking, and I didn't like it.
Raise your hand if you've been personally victimized by little crabs named Sebastian.
He doesn't even go here.
I just want unicorns and rainbows and to make everyone a cake. She doesn't go here.
Anyway, I am unsurprised that you didn't like this book very much.
Yeah.
I read it and I was like, okay, so Married by Morning is gonna stay Hannah's favorite. However, I love angst. And I
didn't even really find this one angsty. It just, I don't know.
I did. It hit me in all the feels.
Again, I'm happy for you. I wish it did something for me. Because like I wanted to end it on a high note. And I was like sad. I was like halfway through, I was like, I don't think I like this. Because like I started, I was like, I'm raring to go. And then I was like, ooh, maybe not. But yeah, it made me.
I do love like a war.
Yeah, it made me. And that makes sense. It made me want to change my rating from Tempt Me to Twilight to 5 stars, and then to change my rating of Seduce Me at Sunrise and round it up to 4. That one, it's still a 3.5. But I rounded down on Goodreads. But this one, it was just a straight 3, I think.
Also, bro, I'm such a sucker for like animals in wartime. Like the little Albert being
Albert was adorable. We haven't opined enough on Albert.
No, we need to talk about Albert for a second. Because first of all, him like running up and down the line and delivering messages and stuff, and then just like attaching himself to Christopher, and Christopher's like, okay, I guess. And then he's like, this is my best friend. He is kind of feral and a little bit unhinged, but so am I.
I just, like, I understand being, like, scared of an animal. Like, I felt for his staff. Growing up, I had so many friends with really mean cats. My grandma had a really mean cat, and I was forced to interact with them, and I did not enjoy it. His poor staff. They were like, this dog is the devil's spawn. My favorite was that his name was Albert, and then he met the queen, and the queen was like, that's cute.
I literally wept when they talked about how he like was told to bring Albert with him, and they like all stepped up in formation, and Albert was there, and I was like already crying, and then everybody was bullying him, which was excellent. And then she was like, Albert, come forward, and gave him the little collar, and I was just like crying.
Albert, he was the MVP. Most valuable
also,
pet.
Him literally running away from home, just showing up at Beatrix's house.
I do respect him, his main character energy.
Also, and then her, like, convincing the staff to, like, oh, he left, we don't know. And she's like,
here's his leash. How did that get there?
Oh, we keep him in the shed. We didn't tell you that, though. And then him, like, being incredibly angry and going to get his dog and being convinced that he had, like, ruined everything and everyone hated him, only for him to be, like, so delightfully well-behaved. And he's like, huh? Who is this?
He had the quintessential Jamie Tart arc.
Yes. I just love the parallels of him being, like, he needs to, like, stay alone in the house and, like, not interact, and Beatrix being like, or maybe he's just different than he was before the war, and he's a little traumatized from the things that happened during the war, and maybe you are also, but we'll come back to that. We'll loop back around. Right now, let's deal with the dog, who has the exact same issues that you do.
Yeah.
I just, like, all of the, like, he's like, no, I want to, like, be in society, when in reality, he does not want to be in society. Or, like, a loud noise will trigger him, and he, like, tackles her to the ground, and then it's like, oh, no. Like, this well-bred lady, I tackled her to the ground, I'm sure I'm hurting you. And Beatrix, meanwhile, is, like, unruffled and fully prepared to deal with this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is fine. I have a lot of feelings.
Yeah, I think... Actually, I just don't know. Like, I didn't mind them together. But
I think another thing that works for me that maybe doesn't necessarily work for you is that I will, number one, really love epistolary romances.
that would do it.
But also, I think part of that is because I get very easily frustrated by, like, insta-lust. Or, I don't mind insta-lust as long as you can back it up.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, so many romances fail for me in relying solely on physical chemistry. And I'm always like, okay, but where was... I just wanted them to, like, have a conversation.
Yeah, what one was the one that we read and they were having
Anna Maria and the Fox.
Yes,
it's such a slow burn that, like, they're constantly having these, like, philosophical, ideological conversations, and I eat that up. And so for me, an epistolary romance removes... Like, you cannot rely on physical chemistry and supplement actual emotional connection with that by just being like, oh, they're in love, they're, like, super attracted to each other. They hook up all the time and it's super hot. And you're like, that's great, I love that. However, I would like some conversation to make me believe that they are actually in love. And so for me, an epistolary romance works because they have to fall in love with each other's brains first. I
just don't think there was enough of the epistolary element. I think, needed more of that because I felt like I had more of a connection to them in the epistolary moments, maybe. And then once it just seemed to happen really fast after he got back. And I guess, again, like, a lot happened and they wrote a lot of letters, but I just didn't. Again, maybe it worked better in audio. I don't know. But I understand that for the conversations and getting to know.
I mean, I feel like it worked for me. Well, but I also was considering that he's in, like, incredibly traumatic circumstances at this point in his life. So I imagine if I were living through a war and someone was writing me these letters, I feel like I would fall in love faster.
Yeah.
But also, we were only getting snippets of the letters.
Yeah. Which I think... That's why I don't know if I would have wanted it longer, like, more letters to see. But I guess I just wasn't, like, interested in what they were talking about. It's like, I don't know. It wasn't for me. And I have 3 copies of this book. I have the most copies of this one. I screw myself. I really do.
I mean, you can just give them away.
I will.
No one's stopping you. Forcing you to have multiple copies.
Well, I was like, because if I'm at, like, a thrift store, I'll just, like, pick up, like, a copy. I'm like, I never know if anyone's going to need it. And then, personally makes sense. This is the one that's the most in the thrift stores. But, so I just have picked up copies along the way. Now they stare
Listeners,
at me.
you can't hear it, but I did raise a judgmental eyebrow with that comment.
The bangs kind of hit it.
I
so
know,
I'm happy that you
but
you
just know that
for me.
It raised.
Oh, I see it now. It moved your bangs.
You gotta really overemphasize it. Yeah, they gotta catch on the hair.
I wish I could do the one eyebrow raise. I'll never be a romance hero.
Alas. Oh, I can do it. I thought everyone could. I assumed it was one of those things like a sneer where you can just only do it on one side unless you're special.
Oh, God.
You can't sneer?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like I just naturally sneer. What's so you can only do one side?
Yeah, it's something about the way... I mean, most people. You can't do either side, it looks like.
I'm sneer-shamed. I
did
not know that.
Usually, it's something about the way your muscles are. Usually, you can only do one side. You look unhinged. But I can sneer, and I can raise that same eyebrow on the same side. Really? My nephew and my sister actually can both raise both. Lift one eyebrow, but on both sides. You know what I mean?
Good thing I haven't tried to sneer at anyone. My dad can raise his eyebrow, or he can raise both of them, and I get extremely jealous. But I can do, like, the tongue curling that my mom can't do, like that.
Oh, I didn't used to be able to, but I learned.
But yeah, my mom can't do it. My sister can't, but my dad and I can. Yeah, that.
I think. I haven't done it in a very long time. There's like the W one. I can't do that, but
I can't do that.
My sister can.
No. Or the amount of times after watching, what's the one, which one, where wiggles her nose.
Bewitched, yeah.
Yeah.
My mom and I love that show, and I also would love to. I was just
sure
moving
tried.
my mouth. I can't.
I
do
sure
it.
tried. Never succeeded.
Didn't we all? Has anyone ever watched Bewitched and not immediately tried to wiggle their nose like Elizabeth Montgomery?
I would like hold my face and just be like,
yeah,
and it never just like flaring my nostrils. The pupils were blown wide and his nostrils flared. Is he a horse or is he a
that
hero?
expression because like I like flare my nostrils and I'm like, that's not attractive. Yeah. That's concerning to me. That's how I feel about bared my teeth. Like, I know what they're trying to get at, but no one actually bares their teeth. Like, I much prefer people will complain about growling. I don't mind growling, because I understand that they don't mean a literal growl.
Yeah. Rawr.
No one's talking about a literal, unless, of course, we're reading, like, a monster romance or something, in which case, that's different. That's a different
I guess I bare my teeth when I try to sneer.
No, but see, for me, baring my teeth is like a grimace, like an ooh. That's when my teeth come out. I would never angrily bare my teeth.
Grr.
But a sexy growl that is not a literal growl, but just like kind of a deep rumble, that's hot.
I like the Roy Kent growl effect. I do enjoy that.
The one and only.
There's really no one comparable.
No, there really isn't. I tried to explain to my dad the premise that Roy Kent is a romance hero. He did not get it.
I think my parents get it.
I love that for them. Good for them.
I think they're both in love with him.
I mean, how could you not be?
I know. Ugh. I know.
The episode, the rom-communism episode, where he, like, runs dramatically to the...
Fuck! Runs off. When Jamie's like, I'm crowding him, I can't do that. And then Roy's like, fuck. Runs. Yeah, that's iconic.
He's here.
Okay.
He's there.
He's every fucking where.
He sure is.
In the afternoon.
That delighted me beyond the point where it should have.
I'm glad.
It tickled me pink. All right. Well, that's all I've got. I would die for that book, and it's my favorite. And you
so fascinating.
do not feel the same way, and that's okay, because sometimes I feel like usually we like fairly closely align in our feelings, and when we don't, we're like polar opposites. It's
weird. I mean, I'm happy I'm not like this book didn't anger me. I'm happy that didn't happen.
That's fair.
Because then that would be not a fun time.
This would be a less fun episode.
Yes. It would just be us growling and grunting.
It would just be, the girls are fighting! Like, the presidential alert.
Yeah. Yeah, I truly find it riveting that you love it.
Not the book.
No, not the book.
The fact that I love it.
Your relationship with the book.
I mean, that's me listening to you talk about One Duke Down.
That is true.
I'm like, it was a good time.
And that's to me where I'm like, I just don't, and like, that's why I feel like it is weird for me not to like this book, because not a lot happened.
But a lot did happen emotionally.
But I didn't feel it. I don't know.
I mean, I do feel like the majority of the arc was Christopher's. Because Christopher is the one coming back and dealing with PTSD and fitting back into a society that is the same when he is not the same. It's the same reason that Bandstand is one of my all-time favorite Broadway musicals, and it makes me cry every time I listen to the soundtrack, and it also is about, like, veterans coming back from, I want to say, World War II, and being told, like, yay, everything can go back to normal now, and them not knowing how to deal with the fact that they are not back to normal, but society wants to pretend that they are.
I've never heard of Bandstand.
Oh, there's a song, listen, that musical is so good, but there's a song at the end that, like, is a reworking of Taps. And it's, like, devastating, and every time I listen to it, I cry. So putting my Broadway playlist on shuffle is always an adventure. Because I'll be, like, bopping, and then either that'll come
Yeah.
on, or, like, something from the soundtrack of Miss Saigon, and you can't, like, casually listen to Miss Saigon, because it's emotionally devastating. So I'll be driving, and, like, the song where she, like, kills a guy to defend her child will come on, and she's, like, screaming through my car speakers.
Yeah.
Anyway, this was a long tangent. My point was just, I have a playlist of every show tune that I like, basically ever, and putting it on shuffle is always the wildest adventure.
I can imagine. That's how my Taylor Swift playlist is, because it's mainly every Taylor Swift song. There are a few that I just took out because I don't need to be crying like that. Like Ronan, no. You can't catch me listening
you
to
can't
that song.
casually listen to it.
No.
It's
I love the
Russian
guitar.
roulette when you shuffle
Yeah.
things like that. We bantered again.
We bantered our way out of the episode. Bantering in the afternoon at 9
You can
p.m.
literally add in the afternoon to almost anything, and it will be hilarious. Insert random object or action here in the afternoon is, for some reason, the funniest formula to me right now.
That's actually the title of the episode. Insert random object in the afternoon.
Oh.
It's a fun one. And again, she didn't actively say, they mentioned the afternoon, but they didn't actively say love in the afternoon in this one. So
I think it's because they, like, had sex in the middle of the afternoon.
as it still stands, Married by Morning is the only one where she actually said the full title in the book itself.
But they did make love in the afternoon.
In a cottage, no less.
In a cottage. God bless.
And
that
there
he
was
had
like
done up all fancy, and then he had those soldiers come sing her favorite song.
That was
they had
hilarious.
talked
I liked
about. The point is cottages.
that. The point is cottages,
Cottages in the afternoon.
We're here all night. We're here all afternoon.
Our poor listeners are like, this isn't even a funny bit.
No.
Like, please move on. And we're like, this is the funniest thing we've ever come up with. We are comedians. That
Drinking
one
my water,
performed
hydrating in the
comedy
afternoon.
as social commentary class that I took in college, where my final was a 10-minute stand-up set. That class
God,
really
that would be
paid
so
off.
stressful.
It was a little stressful, but I made a lot of jokes about Catholicism and VeggieTales. And
That's good.
theater kids.
I don't know what
I
I
feel
would
like
have
we've
done.
talked about this on the podcast before.
Yes. Yeah, because we have the whole your remote, that's the vibrator of
Right.
stand-up comedy.
The vibrator of stand-up comedy, you do it yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think, didn't we also share the Venn diagram?
Yes, that's in our Google Drive. I
Listeners, if you
reorganized our
don't
drive and
know-
then found it again.
That's one of my proudest achievements. There was an entire
In the
bit about how
afternoon.
ironic it is that Bob and Larry hosted VeggieTales because cucumbers and tomatoes are technically fruit. So how ironic is it that VeggieTales is hosted by a couple of fruit?
I hate tomatoes.
I need my remote.
I know, your remote's been absent.
It's fine. Remind me next time, I'll bust it out.
Busted out. Popping E and busting out. In the afternoon.
Yeah, we need to be done.
Yep.
Thanks for listening.
Thank
Follow
you
us
so
on
much.
socials. Subscribe to the
Yes.
newsletter that I have yet to actually send out.
Stay tuned for our next series read. We're taking a break. Starting
Yes.
I was gonna say October. Starting March, March 31st, we'll have an episode next Friday, and then like a 2-week break, I think.
Speaking of the episode next Friday,
Yes,
we're doing superlatives of books that we read over the course of this past season of the podcast, right?
yes. So that goes this year, and then like since we started the podcast.
Yeah.
Because
so
this
like
is
a
all
little
this has
bit
all been season 1,
the
and then
end
we'll go
of
into season
last
2.
year.
Mhm.
So write in. Let us know what superlatives you would like for us to.
And then
what's the word I'm looking for. Talk about
superlatate.
assign books to. I don't think that's a word. Superlatate in the afternoon.
Yeah. So we'll pick like 5 of the submissions, and then we'll each pick a book that we read in season 1, or like talked about. I mean, we talked about so many fucking books that
It'll make sense.
But yeah, that's gonna be. We have to do that on Instagram.
On our Instagram stories, so you can write in. But
or if you missed that, just email us.
Or if you
We'll
feel
probably-
strongly, you can write in on Spotify.
That is very true. You so can. Use our little poll function. Not our poll function, just the little Q&A function. That's what it's called.
DM.
And DM.
Email. There are so many
Yeah.
ways.
Please. And also, like Caroline said at the beginning, subscribe to our Substack eventually.
Someday I'll send one out.
Yeah, we'll have one. And we've got fun things planned. I'm excited. Yay.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll in the
In
afternoon.
the afternoon.